When Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice was released, it had one of the biggest opening box office results of all time. A week later, it broke records for all the wrong reasons. It had one of the hugest drop-offs of all time, being one of the most polarizing comic book movies ever. But Warner Brothers were trapped because while we were going to cinemas to watch that film, basically Zack Snyder was already in production of his Justice League movie. So they couldn't even stop what was going on. I suppose if they wanted to, they could have halted production on that expensive project, but they decided not to. Then Zack and the studio couldn't agree what direction to go because of the polarization of Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice. So the other day, a fan asked James Gunn, when are we going to get more DC Universe updates? Well, he said, the writers have just come back from the strike. I haven't been able to communicate with all of them where they are, but very soon I'm sure there will be some updates. I found this a very suspicious answer to a straightforward question. It's almost like nothing's going to happen apart from Creature Commandos and Superman Legacy. It's like they want to wait to see what happens when Superman Legacy is released in the summer of 2025. Now, personally, I think that's a very, very wise move. But if that's the case, there will be a gap because we know Joker is released next year, the Joker sequel, Joker Folie à Deux. And in 2025, if we can get these actors back to work soon, then Superman Legacy will be released in the summer of 2025, and The Batman will also be released in 2025. 2 DC movies in 1 year is more than enough. Who knows what they're planning on Max, if anything. But I think the answer to that question is there's nothing going to be in pre-production in terms of the other projects. Don't forget, they've already released a list of content for this Gods and Monsters Part 1 slate. A Supergirl movie, a Swamp Thing movie, a Batman movie. But will any of these go into production until they find out if Superman Legacy has been successful? I don't think so. And personally, I think this would be a very good idea for Warner Brothers because the industry is on its knees financially. They've driven their audience and consumer away. They overspent on trying to catch up with Netflix in terms of streaming. That was the hugest mistake in entertainment history. They can't afford to be throwing money at 20 comic book movies that may never be seen. Because look what happened with these 5 DCEU movies. Black Adam, flop. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, flop. The Flash movie, flop. Blue Beetle, flop. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, even though I'm excited about it, I expect that to be a flop as well. But for James Wan's sake and Jason Momoa's sake, I hope that it's not, because they're both very good guys, and I believe they've made a very, very good movie. So I think the secret is now not to run before you can walk. Look at the MCU. When it was successful, having a future plan was a very good idea, and Kevin Feige was, credited by fans and pundits for doing this. But now the MCU's a mess. It's not making the money it once was. It's surrounded by criticism and behind the scenes problems. So what does Kevin Feige and Disney and Marvel Studios now do with a dead weight on their hand? This is what I'm saying. So I think James Gunn's answer in saying, I've got to catch up with all my writers, I think that's BS. Because he would know what's going on. Even if every project that he's announced in Gods and Monsters is in active development, which I don't believe it is, by the way, he would know where they are, right? Obviously, he's not going to tell the fan anything at that moment, but his answer was suspect to me, because that tells me they're not. All you're going to see, Creature Commandos is in the can as far as I know, and that will be released next year on Max. Looking forward to it. Sounds like a great thing. And Superman Legacy. I'm a big Superman fan. He is my character, my favourite character in fiction. Bring it on. But I don't think anything else goes into production until they find out if Superman Legacy is a winner or a loser.